Muchas gracias, señor embajador. Bienvenido a esta su casa. Ahora sí, a lo que la mayoría de nosotros venimos, vamos a pasar el documental, que está dividido en dos partes. La primera parte es un poco más larga y después viene un par de pequeñas cápsulas que vale la pena veamos y no nos paremos. Sin más preámbulos, sean todos bienvenidos. Muchas gracias.
The Jews of Rhode Island belong to one of the most established and perhaps ancient communities in the European Mediterranean area. They'd come there from 1492 after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain and from Portugal, and they set up in all over Europe, Turkey and all sorts of places, but Rhode Island was one of the places that they chose to settle. And they really built up a really wonderful gem of a little community. In fact, it was known as the Small Jerusalem by some of them.
I was born in Rhode Island. Tourist brochures talk about Rhode Island as being the bride of the sun. It was also an ancient civilization, and an ancient writer talked about it saying it was a town bathed in sunshine and endowed with beauty befitting God. However, while I was born, when I was a young child there, it was a completely different situation, and my childhood memories are very different from what this writer said.
A lot of that changed in 1912 when the Italians took over the island, and there was also a time of great poverty following the First World War, and so there was some immigration of Jewish community from Rhode Island beginning then. But by 1938, there were about 3,800 or so Jewish people living on the island. And when Mussolini comes to power, he finds this fairly large community on this island, and he immediately starts to impose the fascist racial laws, and this changes things for the Jewish community. So they're not allowed to go to certain schools, they're quite restricted in their movement, the rabbinical college is closed down, so there were lots of very uncomfortable things happening to the community, although their lives were never in danger, in the same as happened to other Jews in other parts of Europe. In 1938, people also start to leave Rhodes, and by the time the Nazis take over, after Mussolini loses power and after Italy is invaded and Italy becomes a war zone. Of course, Rhodes Island, because it was an Italian island, that is then taken over by the Germans, and they immediately start to impose their racial laws, which are directed very, very specifically at the Jewish community in a very harsh way. And so civil liberties start to become eroded even further, and it's clear that the community is now in danger.
In 1939, when war broke out, my parents and I were walking in the Mandraki, which is like here, the Sea Point Promenade. Everybody used to walk over there in the evening. And war broke out and my parents were distraught because they were supposed to leave for Rhodesia, where my uncle had gone already, and now they knew they were stuck on the island. However, I was only 3 years old, no idea what the war meant to me. All I wanted was my ice cream. So I lay down in the Mandraki, started shouting, beating my legs, I want my ice cream, I want my ice cream. And my mother was upset, but in the end I did get my ice cream. Then the racial laws came in with the fascists, and us children were not allowed to go to school. We lived outside the Turuia, which is the Jewish quarter. So my parents and 3 other families got together to arrange for lessons in a private home, which was also in the Mandraki, and it belonged to the parents of Izzy Aladdin, a beautiful home. So we had classes there. There were 3 boys and me as a girl, and we wore uniforms. We were black pinafore with white collars and followed what the other schools were doing. And it was an idyllic time there, actually. We had a pleasant time, shelter from life surrounding us. But sadly, 2 of my fellow students and the teacher perished in Auschwitz. Then there were the bombs. We had to put up with lots of bombs. Luckily, we had the shelter under our flat. And but as children, we thought it was fireworks. It was something to enjoy. And in fact, Izzy, who was quite a mischievous child, used to say,